This is the Vince Salerno Podcast, Episode 5. On today's episode, we're talking Rogue One. The new trailer has finally dropped, talking about all the stuff that came out of that. Also, Man of Steel 2 is in active development, the Narnia reboot. Today's topic of the week is casting, and many, many more topics. So sit back, relax, enjoy yourself, because the Vince Salerno Podcast starts right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Vince Salerno Podcast, Episode 5. It's kind of hard to believe I've already done 5 episodes of this. I'm having a ball doing this podcast. As always, I'm your host, Vince Salerno. Before we get started, I want to take some time to comment on, today is the 2-year anniversary of the death of Robin Williams. Obviously, if you have a childhood, it involved Robin Williams. He's the master of some of my favorite films, everyone's favorite films, some of which include Aladdin, Hook, Jumanji, RV, the Night at the Museum movies, as well as, his Oscar-winning performance in Good Will Hunting. He can never dismiss that. And just his stand-up comedy, he's a genius. He was a comedic genius, and everything he did was to bring joy to everybody, and it was a shame that he had to die the way he did. He was suffering from depression, multitude of different things that depression comes with. Just very tragic. Like I said, he was an actor who sort of shaped my childhood, and he today more than ever is missed. So I just want to take a moment of silence to remember Robin Williams. And once again, he will be missed. We love you. We miss you, Robin Williams. Rest in peace. All right, let's get on to our top 5 of the week. Number 1, the one you all have been waiting for, the one I've been waiting for, the Rogue One trailer finally came out last night. I believe it was this past Monday. The official word was out that the trailer was going to drop during the Olympics. One of the most random things for a Star Wars trailer, I think. It's funny that, so I believe it was episode 3, I was talking about, how great Suicide Squad was going to be, and then last week's episode, I'm talking about how bad it is, according to the critics. And then last week's episode, I was also talking about how I was scared for the Rogue One movie, and I was like, oh no, this is, more stuff's coming out about reshoots, this isn't good, to now seeing this trailer a week later, episode 5, and I'm excited again. I can't wait to see this movie. My confidence has been restored. The trailer was absolutely amazing. It showed us a lot more story, a lot more of Jyn Erso and Captain Andor, Diego Luna's character. It seems like they're going to be the central relationship in the movie. Maybe they'll fall in love, who knows. But it did a great job at not only introducing the plot and the main character, excuse me, but also introducing the team. It's sort of, this really does feel like a Dirty Dozen type thing, or almost like it doesn't even seem like they're specifically recruiting these people. It seems like they just go on a journey and they come across all these different people and they're just like, okay, we're going to join you. And it seems like more than ever, it's more eminent now than before, that this is going to be the true formation of the Rebel Alliance, because they've been very vocal about how there are different sections or sects of rebels all over the galaxy fighting the Empire, but they're not exactly a unified rebellion. And I think this is going to be the this event, this team stealing the planets of the Death Star is going to be the unifying of all the rebels all across the galaxy to take on the Empire, and that's where we lead into Episode 4. And so knowing that, or at least believing that at this point, I think that's a great story, and I think that's a great concept a reason to do this movie. For a while, I was like, why do another movie in between Episode 3 and 4? We already got enough content in between those two movies, but I think this is the most important story to tell between those two films than anything, more than Rebels, more than whatever else they've produced in the past that's been between episode 3 and 4, comic books, movies, TV shows, books, whatever what have you. This movie is the most important bridge between episode 3 and 4 than anything that's ever come out, because it's really about the formation from the rebels scattered all across the galaxy to becoming the Rebel Alliance. I think that's so great. Great action scenes. We definitely get a different side of Star Wars. It's definitely a darker, grittier feel, and that's what I wanted. I've been saying this at the beginning. I want this to be a dark, gritty war film that does not feel like a saga film. I want it to feel like it's its own thing. Still, of course, taking place in the Star Wars universe and still feeling like its own thing, but the way it's shot, the way it looks, the action, just everything looks like it's its own thing. Like it still exists in the Star Wars universe and is obviously truly a Star Wars film, but it's its own thing, which I really love. Another thing I want to mention is the use of scale in this movie. This is why Gareth Edwards was chosen to direct this movie, or why he got the job, because he knows scale really well. You saw it in that first teaser from Celebration a year ago, that proof of concept teaser, where you see the TIE fighters flying to the Death Star, but the Death Star is like in the distance in the sky, and it just goes to show how huge the Death Star really is. And in multiple shots in this movie, you can see a lot of size comparisons, like sort of David and Goliath situations. One being the robot K2SO, I believe is his name, up against Jin. They're not fighting, but when they first meet, and he's like, "You're a friend. I will not kill you." He's looking down upon her, and it's like, okay, the Empire built some big robots. It just shows the imposing feel they have to them, the imposing presence they have. And then you see shots of like the planet below the Death Star and the Death Star covering up with the sun. Obviously, like a analogy to the dark side and what it does to the light, which I thought was so great. As a filmmaker, I'm just geeking out about this thing. Obviously, you see the Star Destroyers compared to the Death Star. You see these little ships flying in this giant thunder, lightning, desert storm. You see just the size comparison to like AT-ATs or AT-ACTs in this case, compared to humans walking around. Currently, these AT-ACTs are supposed to be a lot bigger than the ones from The Empire Strikes Back. I still have yet to really catch on to that, but ever more still, a present factor. There's a shot of a Star Destroyer like above a canyon, and Jin and Andor, I think that's what his name is, are like looking above, and it's just like all these shots that show how small the rebels look compared to the Empire. And it's why Gareth Edwards was chosen to do this movie, because he knows scale. He knows how to make big things look big and imposing and make us humans look small and pathetic. That's why he did Godzilla. That's why he's doing Rogue One. And I love it. And of course, how can we dismiss this conversation without talking about the one thing we've all been waiting for? Darth Vader, baby. We got Darth Vader. Granted, it was a shot of his back, but I guess that's because he is back. Darth Vader is back, so they showed his back. Granted, it was a slightly disappointing shot of Darth Vader's behind, but it was nevertheless a confirmation that Darth Vader is in this movie, and he is going to be a presence. He's going to be in it for probably like 2 scenes. But here's my theory. I believe he'll be in it for 1 scene on the Death Star or something like that scene we saw. And then my guilty pleasure hope is that he is on the battlefield, on that beach, slicing away rebels with his lightsaber, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, doing that frisbee toss you see on the Battlefront game. That is, that's awesome to me. I just think that's the coolest thing ever. I would love to see that kind of Darth Vader on screen, from video game to books to screen. I think that would be great. If it doesn't happen, that's totally fine. I just want to see Darth Vader in this movie. So yeah, Rogue One trailer was absolutely amazing. Still not as stoked for it, just because I'm not so much as excited to go back to time periods of Star Wars that we've already visited. You know, the reason why Force Awakens was so exciting is because we were going forward into the universe. Not that I'm not excited, as I've said, I'm just not excited to go back. I'm not excited about going backwards, I'm excited about going forwards. But regardless, it's a story that needs to be told, as I said, the Rebels becoming the Rebel Alliance. So, Rogue One, I'm ready for you, I can't wait, bring it on. All right, we went on that for a while. We're moving on now to topic number 2. Dunkirk. The Dunkirk teaser, which actually came out last week. I just wasn't able to cover it in my notes, but I really wanted to cover it because, man, is this a great trailer. For those of you who don't know, Dunkirk is a movie being directed by Christopher Nolan. It's a war film about the the evacuation at Dunkirk. I believe it was like the British rescuing the French, evacuating them from this beach where the Germans were just like attacking them with these bombing planes and stuff. Just all sorts of mayhem going on there. I love this teaser because it's a teaser. It's literally no dialogue, no nothing. You see some wide shots of some very ambiguous things going on. Bodies being buried by the sand, Tom Hardy walking into the ocean. I believe that's Tom Hardy in the movie. You see that great shot at the end with all the British soldiers on the transport boat, and then one of them looks up, here's a plane, the other one looks up, another looks up, they all look up, they're all like, oh shit, and they all duck down, and then boom, title, Dunkirk, coming soon. That's all you need. Oh man, I'm a huge Chris Nolan fan. I've been a fan ever since I saw Inception, the Dark Knight trilogy, Prestige are some of my favorite films of all time. Haven't seen all of them yet. I loved Interstellar. Had some, minor issues, but the thing about Chris Nolan films is that they are like in our modern culture, they are the biggest event films to come out every year. Besides the Marvel films and the DC films, they are the biggest event films to come out every year. They are like in every sense of the word, they are event films. They are meant to be experienced in the theater. If you don't go to a Chris Nolan movie in the theater, you are missing out. You might as well never see it because you are missing out on a wonderful experience. So, this trailer was tense, chilling, dark, ambiguous. Loved it. Big fan of Chris Nolan. Can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome. All right, moving right along to topic number 3. Man of Steel 2 is in active development. It was confirmed by Warner Brothers that the movie is being prioritized at Warner Brothers, that they are totally committed to making it, and it's a big priority for them. They have big plans for Superman, obviously. I'm stoked about this because I love Man of Steel. I actually think Man of Steel is a modern-day masterpiece. While still having my own personal gripes on it, it did so many great things with Superman. It reinvented him for a modern audience. It turned the franchise from this, this sort of campy American hero to a story about an alien. Basically, it's a science fiction movie with a superhero in it. Or it's a science fiction movie disguised as a superhero film. And I think that's the best way to go about the Superman franchise, is that he's an alien. And he lives among us, and he wants to help us. And so I love that dynamic. Obviously, things panned out not so great for him because he had to sacrifice himself for mankind to stop Doomsday. They ever so stupidly did the Doomsday or Death of Superman storyline in Batman v Superman, which I think was a stupid idea. Could have saved that for its own movie and had Superman die a epic and tragic and heroic death. This was just forced and unexpected and weird. But obviously Henry Cavill's going to come back. I'm assuming the original cast, including Diane Lane, Amy Adams, Lawrence Fishburne, possibly House of Cards guy. He plays Doug Stamper in House of Cards. Never mind. You know what I mean. He's a minor character, but I'd love to have him back. I doubt Zod will be back because he's, dead. I don't know if the Kryptonians will be back. Nothing is known about this movie, but the two questions that remain is who will direct, because initially it was rumored that George Miller was going to direct, but that hasn't been confirmed. So maybe he will direct. Maybe Zack Snyder will come back. Maybe they'll get someone totally new to direct. Who knows? I'd honestly like to see someone else take the helm, especially George Miller. I mean, if the thing about Zack Snyder is that I lost a lot of confidence in him after Batman v Superman, so I'm kind of worried about Justice League, but I'm still excited. But if he can, if they bring him back to do Man of Steel, and he comes back as the Zack Snyder that directed Man of Steel, then yes. If that Zack Snyder shows up, then yes, let's do this. Second question is who's going to be the villain? What's the plot going to be? A lot of people want it to be Brainiac because Brainiac's like the second biggest Superman villain next to Lex Luthor. Obviously, Lex Luthor will probably be in this movie. You can't, now that he's in there, you can't do a movie without him. So maybe he'll be the main villain, and there'll be a secondary villain that we all know and love. I don't know who it would be, but you got Zod, you got Brainiac, you got Lex Luthor. You basically are about to cover all of the big Superman villains if you get Brainiac in there. But we'll see. I'll see it no matter who they have for a villain. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. All right, topic number 4. David Fincher in talks for World War Z 2. Okay, first of all, they're still making a World War Z 2? This sort of dropped off my radar a while ago because I just didn't know when this movie was going to get made. This film came out 3-4 years ago, and I'm like, okay, when are we going to get the second one? Is it ever going to happen? I honestly thought it was dead for a while. They actually got the guy who's currently directing Jurassic Park 5 to direct. He was going to direct this movie, but he came on to Jurassic Park 5, so now he's doing that. But David Fincher's an interesting choice because, it's freaking David Fincher. I'm a huge fan of David Fincher. Some of my favorite films of his include Fight Club, The Social Network, and Gone Girl. All 3 fantastic movies. Love them to death. Just very well done. I don't know if he'll actually do this, though, because he's not really a franchise director. And I just don't see him doing this type of film. But at the same time, it's like if he does, it's going to be great. We all know it's going to be great. It's going to be a fantastic movie. So I hope he signs on. If he does, it'll be very unexpected and very welcoming, of course, but because it's Brad Pitt, there's some history between the two of them. They've worked together on multiple projects, so you got to expect that because of that, that'll sort of be some leeway to get him to do the movie, hopefully. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely going to add some very stylistic choices to the franchise. Whether or not he'll do it is the current question at hand, but if he does, more power to him. I liked the first World War Z movie. I thought both the extended cut and the original cut were, good films. Not outstanding, but, very fun blockbuster popcorn entertainment. For those of you who are Doctor Who fans out there, if you didn't know this, Peter Capaldi has a scene in the movie where he plays a doctor, and it's hilarious. Because the Brad Pitt's character is trying to go to a WHO facility, and Peter Capaldi is credited in the movie as a WHO doctor, so Who doctor, which is just a great nod to Doctor Who, of course, because he's Doctor Who. So yeah, World War Z 2, David Fincher, sign me up. Let's do it. All right, our last top 5 topic of the week. Narnia. So Narnia is getting a reboot. Obviously, we've had 3 films in the Narnia franchise: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which, unfortunately, all 3 of them have sort of slowly suffered in box office and audience reception. I love the first movie. My first birthday party was going to see that first movie. I think taking all my friends to Pizza Hut afterwards. I love this franchise. It's so great, especially for Christian audiences like me. I'm a Catholic. We love these films because they're great. They have a great connection to the faith, and they're good. They're truthful. They're powerful, and they're just fun. I love these movies. I love the second one, despite what most people would say. Third film, I don't know. Third film kind of was a little rocky for me. There was too much CGI, not a real focus and plot. Definitely, there were some ongoing themes going on that were really cool, but overall, it wasn't a great film, and it almost killed the franchise. But now, of course, we got a new team, a new studio behind the Narnia franchise, and they're going to completely reboot, start again, but this time with The Silver Chair. So I guess it's kind of a reboot, kind of a sequel, because it's the 4th book and the 4th movie. Yeah, right? 4th book, I think. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I like it. This is a positive step forward in the franchise. It's been dead for a while now, and they've been trying to get it back on track. And I think this is the first couple steps to getting it back where it needs to be. Question is, how will they do it? Will they bring back Liam Neeson to voice Aslan the lion? Will they get some of the original cast to come back and just, retcon everything else? Will they recast it completely? My hope is that they at least get Liam Neeson to voice Aslan, because he was perfect as Aslan. It's like you can't get any. It's like for me, Aslan voiced by Liam Neeson is as pivotal as Han Solo played by Harrison Ford. You can't recast Aslan. So maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, but we'll see. I really hope they decide to bring him back at least. But it seems like there's going to be a hardcore reboot. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, and hopefully they will make this film not just oh, let's get this film out of the way so we can make more sequels. No, make this first film really good and make every other film really good. That's how you make a franchise, and that's how you reboot Narnia, I think. So, once again, big fan. Looking forward to Narnia 4, Narnia the reboot, Narnia the Silver Chair. It's going to be awesome. All right, so that was our top 5 of the week. Just to run that down, that was the Rogue One trailer, the Dunkirk trailer, Man of Steel 2 in active development at Warner Brothers, David Fincher directing World War Z 2, and the Narnia reboot is officially confirmed. So that was our top 5 of the week. Be sure to comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about all those topics. Now we're moving on to the topic of the week. So this topic of the week, as I said before, is about casting. Specifically because last weekend, I should say, I was in Los Angeles casting for a student project I'm working on, a short film called Time Jumpers. I want to keep most of the details on the wraps, but basically it's a time travel, action-y, Jason Bourne, Blade Runner type movie that I actually was inspired to do because of watching Blade Runner. It's one of my favorite films. I love watching it. I always get something new out of the movie. And I wanted to do something that was sort of dark and mysterious and ambiguous like Blade Runner. And I think this Time Jumpers short film is going to be just that. So that's what Time Jumpers is. That's what I was casting in LA. I went with my producer, Chris McCarthy, and my friend, Brigida Sanchez O'Brien. Chris is a producer, as I said. Brigida was helping us out. Both did great jobs. Brigida is a actress here at my school, John Paul the Great Catholic University, and just bringing her on, having her on standby for acting tips. Just saying make sure you watch out for this for your actors or whatever, was really helpful. So I was glad to have her aboard, and of course Chris, my producer, who, you know, you have to have a producer with you because he's got to keep you in line. Also, I'm directing. I don't know if I said that, but I'm directing this project. So yeah, we went to Hollywood Casting and Film in Los Angeles, California. A very, very nice place to cast. I was surprised at how much fun I had with this experience, but I was also surprised at how tired and overwhelmed I was. Next time I'll try and get some more rest the night before. But anyways, for me as a director, working with actors is the most fun thing you can do. It's the best part of being a director, is to craft the character with the actors and get the performance out of them. It's a really fun experience. And I always get a kick out of, no matter who I'm working with, whether it be my friends Shelby Turner and J.J. Schindler, or professional actors I've never met before. I always enjoy trying to get to know new people and create the characters with them. And it was very important for this movie that we cast specific types of characters. And I'm happy to say that we have locked down 3 fantastic leads. 2 leads, 1 villain, and also another supporting character. All are fantastic people, fantastic actors, actresses. We're had a lot of great things to say about the script, the story, and they're just like perfect models of what an actor should do or should be. And I'll go into that in a little bit, but I guess I want to talk a little more about the experience. So the first thing I want to answer is, who did we cast? So for the lead role, we casted Jared Fleming. Great guy, really had a lot to say about the character, a lot to say about the script. Was just a, very engaging person. He was just a lot of fun to talk to, and you definitely know that the actor you're casting is a great person when they have when you can have a conversation with them. Like, we talked for like 5 minutes, I think, before we actually started reading the script. It was actually really cool. Next, we casted Maria Darkina. Once again, she was a sweetheart. She had a lot of great things to say about the script. She was actually the one that said more about the script than anything. She and I had a great conversation about Julia, and Julia's the character she plays in the movie. We had a great conversation about her character and what she does and what kind of person she is. Really enjoyed working with her, real joy. And then the second to last person we cast that day was, I'm sorry if I butcher this last name, Chinedu Oji. And I'd seen his acting reel before he came into audition. Really great stuff from him, and he really just embodied what we wanted for our villain to be. He plays the villain in this movie, and he just really hit the nail on the head with this character. There were many other actors who auditioned who did a great job at this role, but he's the one that really stood out to me. Like, that's our guy. That's our guy. We got to get this guy. And then the last person we casted that day was named Calvin Devereaux. As to who Calvin is playing, I don't want to say. He's playing a very secretive role that will be revealed when you see the film. But Calvin was a real nice guy, great guy to talk to as well. Older gentleman. I don't want to say too much about him just because I don't want you guys to be guessing about who is he playing. But great guy. All these people were awesome to work with, and I'm just super excited to do this project with them. So that's why we cast them, and that's who we cast. I guess now I want to offer some advice to you guys who are considering casting professionally or just casting in general, no matter where you're casting. Be supportive and encouraging, even when you know they're bad. We had a couple of performers or actors come in who they just couldn't do it. But you don't want to shush them away just then. You want to sort of be encouraging to them. You maybe have them read several different ways, and if they can't nail the one scene you're trying to nail, it's just like, okay, well, thank you very much, we'll be in touch. And you just shoo them away nicely and discreetly. And it's a shame. It's kind of hard to do that especially if they're nice people as well. Like, all the people who came in were super nice. But if they can't act, they can't act. And some of the people that came in were just getting into the field. So you also kind of feel sorry that, they haven't gotten as much experience as, you'd like them to get. So yeah, that's always tough, but it's definitely necessary. But be supportive and encouraging, even when they're good. Like you want to encourage them that they're doing a great job and that they've got the character nailed down. It's especially great when they come in and they have the character mapped out already. Like one of the guys who came in to audition for the villain, his name is Quinn Knox. Great guy, super nice guy. We had a great conversation. He came in with this whole idea behind the villain, who he was and what his psyche was and what he was thinking. And, we had to adjust some things. But he basically came in, expecting to change things, but also, came in knowing the character. And I was like, that's awesome. That's the kind of stuff I expect from my actors. It's like people who have taken the time to get to know these characters and who they are, what they think, what they could think, and then offer those suggestions, those ideas to the director. So that was a great experience with Quinn. I've been told by professors and many other people to use verbs when directing actors, and it's true. Because if you say something like, I need 40% more humor or 40% more joy, it's like they're not going to know what that means. They're not going to know exactly what 40% means, But that really helps them out in terms of like getting to know what they need to do exactly. So I suggest at all times use verbs when directing the actors because they'll know what to do. And also, just two more things to touch on real quick. Know how well you work with them or how enthusiastic they are. If you come in and someone's just not really having it with the script or they're just a very crappy person, if you just can't really agree with them, or they're not agreeable people, then they're not going to be right for the part. There was one woman that came in who was a nice lady, very funny lady. She and I argued for a bit about the character and her motivations. And, we didn't get into a heated debate, but she and I went back and forth for a little bit before we actually got to read the script. And that's when I figured, what, she was great, but I don't think I can work with that 24/7. So I had to shoo her away. But, you just got to know who you work with, who's friendly, who's not friendly, who gets it, who doesn't get it, who needs to have the script who needs to walk through the script, who doesn't, So just know who you work with. Who you work with well. Know how well you work with people. Sorry. So this project we're filming is going to start filming a week from today. No, actually a week from tomorrow, from Saturday. So I'm really excited to do this once again. It's been an idea I've had for about 6 months now. Really excited to take it off the ground and just roll with it. And making movies. It's what I love to do. So that is our topic of the week, casting professional actors. Hopefully that was enlightening for you. All right, now we got some questions to answer today. We only have one, but hey, one's better than none. So this question is from my good friend, Rose Deighton. Rose is actually going to be on the show hopefully soon. We've talked about it a lot. She's a big fan of the show. She's been listening ever since I started the first episode. So shout out to you, Rose. Thank you so much for your support, and we're looking forward to having you on the show. Very talented friend, by the way. She's great at writing and stuff, so I'm looking forward to having her on the show, talking to her about writing and stuff. Okay, so her question is, you obviously watch a lot of movies and have a lot of movie knowledge. So in your opinion, what can movies overall improve upon? In other words, if there is a common flaw in movies, or it be editing, directing, etc., what would it be and why? Good question, Rose. Thank you so much for asking. I had a while to think about this, and some of the things I wrote down was cut down on unnecessary sex scenes because they're unnecessary, so stop. But I got a little more specific on certain things. Like, I think we need to rely less on CGI, depending on the situation, and embrace older practices, and both old and new combined. I think studios, in an attempt to be cheap or to be efficient or to be fast, they use CGI to make 50% of all their movies. And if a movie's made fast and cheap like that, it doesn't really come out good. Because you can have a movie that's good, fast, and cheap. Like, you can have two of those things. You can't have three of them. It can either be good and fast, it can be fast and cheap, or it can be good and cheap. So I just think that the more, if people want to make fast movies for cheap, they use CGI, and then the CGI comes out fake looking, and you can tell that the actors are standing up against a green screen, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of insulting to the audience in a way. It's like, oh, they're not going to see this, they're not going to know. And it's like, you don't even think that the people really take the time to map out those scenes. They're just like plopping crap all over the place. Like, it really hurts me to say this, but even Ghostbusters, the new one, almost went to those limits sometimes. There was the final act, there were some times when it's like, ooh, green screen, you can tell they're in a green screen. It just really took me out for some parts of the movie. I know I still got to do my review for that movie, but, it'll happen. So yeah, that's one thing. Cut down on less CGI. Embrace practical effects. Embrace the practices that made movies back in the day so great. We have technology to advance on those things. Look at Star Wars. Look at Rogue One. Look at Ghostbusters. They used a combination of practical and CGI, even though CGI dominated that movie. So it's possible. You just got to think. You got to be efficient. You got to be thinking about new ways to do things that will look good on screen. Also, I think studios need to produce good films, not franchise films. This is the current situation with DC and even some other franchises today. They just make franchise movies. They're just like, all right, get this one out there. We'll make a better movie in the sequel. We just cranking movies out for the sake of cranking movies out. It's like, the next one will be better. Oh, that one sucked. The next one will be better. Whatever. It's like, no. Like, Batman v Superman, a terrible movie. Suicide Squad, apparently a terrible movie. It's like, okay, let's get these out of the way. Let's just get sequels. Well, the sequel will be better. No problem. Whatever. That's my sort of mentality with DC right now. And, not just DC. Other franchises, I can't think of them right now. Like, well, I guess you could, I hate to bash on Ghostbusters, but you could say Ghostbusters is the same thing. It's just the movie was great, but for the most part, it was just, okay, get this one out. We can make a sequel that's 10 times better. No problem. It's like, no. Focus on making your one movie good. Make it a fantastic movie. Make it the best movie ever. Use every good idea you have in that movie. And then make a kick-ass sequel. I'm sick and tired of people just like cranking out films and just saying we'll do better in the sequel. Because what if you don't get a sequel? Have you ever thought of that? It's ridiculous. One thing I'd also change is trailers for trailers. This is a ridiculous and stupid practice for promoting films. It's like, I don't need a stupid trailer for a trailer. You're giving me a trailer. Why do I need a trailer for the trailer? It's dumb. I don't get it. I don't understand why we obsess over trailers for trailers, especially the Rogue One teasers. It's just like clips we've already seen. New trailer coming tomorrow. You literally could have put a Facebook picture or something on Instagram or a poster and then saying, here's the first official poster for Rogue One. New trailer coming tomorrow. Or here's the thing. Here's a great idea. Don't tell us when the trailer's dropping. Make it a surprise. I'm sick of this. I want to be surprised by these things. Like, the first bit of footage is just like, boom! Here's our movie, guys! Like, I want to see that. But it's not done today, so it's, well, whatever. So I guess just cut down on unnecessary sex scenes, less reliance on CGI, more reliance on practical old effects, produce good films, not franchise films, stop trailers for trailers, and I guess just make good movies. There are people who just don't care. They're just making movies to cash in a paycheck. It's like, you're not here in this business to make shitty movies. You're here to make good movies. And if you don't deliver on what people are expecting, you're not going to make money. So I guess that's my 2 cents on that. Rose, thank you for the question. Once again, looking forward to having you on the show whenever we get around to it. Okay, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in to episode 5 of the Vince Salerno podcast. I've had a great time talking about all these subjects. I hope you have as well. Next week, I don't know what's going to happen next week. I'm trying to do recaps for next week, but next week I might have a special guest. What's happening here at our school is we're having senior projects, and some of the film students are graduating. They've directed senior projects, so I'm going to try and get special guests to come in here and talk about their films. That might be the topic of the week next week, so hopefully wish me luck that happens. Maybe get my friend Joe Anderson or Shelby Turner and Daisy Schindler to talk about Anna. Joe Anderson directed a movie called Hero. We'll see. I'm trying to fit everybody in here, but we'll see what happens. All right, guys. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. All the social media links are in the description below. If you want to get a question on this show, just go to Twitter, follow me at TheBigB75, and use the hashtag VSPodcast, and then ask your question, and I will try and get it on the show. All right. Well, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. God bless, and peace out.